The Philadelphia Flyers have spent $9 million on Dan Vladar and Christian Dvorak today. And as of this recording, it is 12:47, so they might not be done. Now, there are some people that are going to have things to say about this, but let's go into the fits for the Flyers, and we'll start with goaltending. The Flyers need a goalie bad. Jake Allen decided, I'm going to leave $10 to $15 million on the table and just stay in Jersey.
Yeah, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm going to be Markstrom's backup. That's enough.
He could have moved 2 hours away and gone to Philly and he's making more than Vladar if Philadelphia signs him. Like, that is...
He's making like half of Vladar.
No, but I mean...
No, I understand.
It's crazy. So Vladar's going to get it. 3.35, not just this year, but next year. Add that to the other goalies they've already got signed. Ivan Fedotov makes $3.275 million, and Sam Harrison next year, $1.45. So they'll have three guys, and I'll be honest with you, Dan Vladar, for me, has always been backup or third guy, so not totally fully certain how this is going to work out for them. What were your initial thoughts, guys, on Dan Vladar, who had a .898 save percentage last year with Calgary?
Stevie Y, you're off the hook. The Philadelphia Flyers are the new team that collect mid goalies like Infinity Stones. Listen, there was no world where the Flyers could go into next season with the same two guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No world, or three, or four, because they had Kolosov in there as well. They needed a guy. There are no guys. What do you do when you need a guy and there are no guys? Well, you make a trade. Well, teams don't want to give up their goalie.
Exactly.
Well, you give up the sun and the moon. Well, they don't. Why would you do that? What if it doesn't work out? So, it's a 2-year deal, and it's not overly expensive. The sad thing is, it likely does improve their goaltending.
Yeah, it was pretty bad last year.
It was very, very bad, and Vladar, even though he wasn't very good last year, or the season before that, he does have a track record. It is possible for him to put together good games, is what I'm saying. I'm not over the moon about the deal, but July 1st, 2025 was never going to be the day the Flyers found their new Bernie Perron.
Yeah, we couldn't sit here on July 2nd or 3rd or 4th and Daniel Briere didn't sign a goaltender. It was priority number one for the Philadelphia Flyers once free agency opened and once like the draft ended and they didn't make a trade for a goaltender. And Jake Allen going off the board at a surprisingly low number, I assume threw the plans off of a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like I thought he was going to be a Flyer coming into free agency and he didn't end up. So like what's their second best option? I don't know if it's Dan Vladar because you look at the free agency board for what's left out there in goaltending. There's Vanacek, there's Georgiev, there's Anton Forsberg, there's Samsonov. There's a couple options, but they're all kind of in the same territory. Samsonov would probably be my just flyer. Take a flyer on that to make him a flyer. But I can understand why they go with Dan Vladar. It would have been inexcusable to not sign a goaltender. Dan Vladar is probably their guy.
I know wins are not
their guy.
Wins are not the greatest way to judge a goalie, but Vladar did have a record above Bettman 500 at 12, 11, and 6. And it's worth mentioning because it was on a team that didn't bloody score.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Calgary
absolutely.
Flames did not score. And he still, even if his save percentage isn't the greatest, he found a way to win hockey games, which is really important. He obviously lost his job to Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Ended up being one of the top rookies in the NHL this year. Nominated for the Calder, someone on the Flyers who wasn't quite up to snuff.
That would be Matvei Michkov.
Wasn't quite good enough to be nominated for the Calder. Maybe, having the Vladominator back there allows Michkov to play a freer game.
Man,
but
sorry, go ahead.
No,
I'm just being a dick, by the way.
totally understand the deal from the Flyers' perspective.
Yes.
They need a goalie. This is who they think is the best goalie. Plus, they still do have Fedotov and Urson who can emerge into something. Urson, is still so young. He's 25.
I think Urson more like.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. Fedotov had an .880 save percentage. Urson had an .883. So Vladar's a huge improvement at .898. And I like you have to look at it. That's a huge improvement.
Yeah, the Flyers' goaltending is better today than it was yesterday.
Right.
And that's the whole
easy
point.
Bar to clear.
Yeah.
Super easy bar to clear, but like
Philadelphia
mission
and
accomplished, kind of.
Yeah, like today we want to be better than yesterday, and they are.
Yes.
And let's be honest. Like, what are they contending for the cup next year?
No.
Like, you want to be better for sure. I mean, you want to give Rick Tocchet someone he can depend on. They needed to do something. They did. It's fine.
But Christian Dvorak.
The other one
is bonkers.
That's a little much.
Even
Christian Dvorak, by the way, let me just say it. 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Elliot Friedman tweeted it out and said 4.5 million, and then he deleted it and he was like, actually 5.4.
And what was your reaction to 4.5?
Holy shit, that's a lot of money for Christian Dvorak. Now, Christian Dvorak is 29. Steve said, when the hell did that happen? But then, yeah, he did play with Mitch Marner in the London.
He was one of Marner's older teammates.
33 points last year, 12 goals, 21 assists for the Montreal Canadiens, averaged about 15 minutes of ice time. His career high in points is only 38 with the Coyotes in 1920. So this is a guy who is a mid-range centerman, can play some defensive work. I don't know, man. Like, it's the Flyers need goaltending like they need air. They also need some experience too. Like, there's got to be somebody in that lineup. Well, you know, you lose Scott Laughton, you replace Scott Laughton.
And who you get? Who knows? Who is available? This is not a good day to need things. This is not a good day to need things. And you know, the one thing I will say, you know, because like Dvorak, that's too much money. Vladar, I don't know what it solves exactly.
It solves 15 percentage points on your save percentage.
Honestly, it gets you through the season is what it does.
That's all it does.
Like, there are...
Vladar is the backup next season if things go right for the Flyers. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%. That's a great way to look at it.
If things go right.
Yeah, if they find the star.
I think if things go right, they get Gavin McKenna.
Yeah, I actually don't mind this deal at all, and it's for one particular reason, and that's the one year. You can sell this at the deadline. You can retain on money. And if the Flyers aren't a cap team, who cares if you overpaid them by $2 million? If you overpaid them by $1 million? Because they wouldn't have been at the threshold where $2 million matters. Who cares?
Look what the Flyers got for friggin' Laughton.
Right.
A first and Nikita Grabenkin, like a legitimate prospect and a first. In exchange for they retained half on Laughton. If Dvorak turns into maybe not quite as much, but like surely at the deadline you could fetch.
So if you're
a third at least.
I'm also sorry. I just also want to point out, guys, and I just want to throw this to you. Morgan Frost, who did not get along with John Tortorella, they trade Morgan Frost because they won't extend Morgan Frost because he and Tortorella don't get along. They fire Tortorella like 15 games later because Tortorella basically said, I can't do this shit anymore. And Farabee and Frost are gone at this point. Frost had how many points? He had 40 points last season. Could you not have just extended him? That just cost you $1 million probably.
Oh, more. Deals that were signed before today are at such a premium. I should say, like, before the first real, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like the ripples in the glass at Jurassic Park were the Ball and Haig contracts.
Yeah.
We went, oh my God.
Yep.
We keep bringing them up. And all day long, we've just been getting the correction in the market. Would have been nice to have those guys, but if ifs and buts for candy nuts, something. And also Peltier, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't even qualify. And he was part of the return.
Yeah.
In that deal.
Weird.
Yeah, it's tough sledding.
Jesse,
tough sledding in Philly.
I cut you off there. Was there something you wanted to add?
I think the Flyers don't plan on winning the Stanley Cup next season. If Briere has $95 million to spend and he's only spending $90 million, what's the point of adding an extra 2 on a player that you can flip for assets?
Right.
I don't mind. Like, I'm not overly concerned about the amount of money they're paying Dvorak for probably half a season.
You get 2 guys in the door. I don't know how many teams were offering Vladar multiple years. You did. I don't know how many teams were offering Dvorak 5+. You did. And either they're good for you, or you trade them for assets, or they stink and they're gone in short order. Like, A-OK, low risk for the Flyers.
Yeah, there's not a lot on the line for these middling teams.
You know what? They should just spend a whole bunch of money then.
Keep
It'll
going.
never come back to bite them. Never.
Never.
Anyways, SDPN's free agency coverage continues.